It's Thursday, November 29th, Friday, November 30th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe today. What's it like to look into a daze and see what you really shouldn't see? You're there, yet you're not. And you're witnessing what is happening in a faraway building or faraway land. Terry Anderson from Vancouver Island, right here in British Columbia, specializes in remote viewing and near-death experiences. As a child, Terry could see the natural energies of everything from trees and animals to people and departed loved ones. It's been an incredible ride for Terry. A sudden NDE transported her into another dimension with three beings who gave her a past and future life review. Since then, she has sought extensive training in controlled remote viewing, medical applications, neuroscience, and psychic mediumship to learn how to apply her abilities to help others. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, we got Olaf Phillips back for another edition of the SOR News Wire. Terry Anderson, thank you so much for joining us on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure to have another fellow BCer here. And, you know, I lived on Vancouver Island. I started my radio career on Vancouver Island. So it's a home away from home for me.
Oh, thank you very much, Dave. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
It is absolutely a pleasure to have you. And, you know, I want to introduce you to my audience because this is something that started as an experience, like I read in the introduction, about an NDE that you had. Take us back to that date and tell us how your life transformed.
Wow. Well, I was 30 years old, and I was a young wife and mother of 2 young daughters. And I went to work one night for a lady who was sick at a pub in Souk. And I was working alone, and as the night progressed, I got more and more agitated in my gut, and I felt that there was something wrong. So I kept phoning my husband saying, there's something wrong, something wrong. And we didn't know what it was, and he was at home, you know, watching the kids. So at the end of the night, I closed everything up and locked the doors and windows. And as I was bolting out the back door, 2 armed robbers assaulted me. And I was nearly murdered. I was beaten very badly. And it was so traumatic, and I had a lot of injuries, head injury, spinal injuries, chest injuries, and I really thought I would die right there. And eventually they let me talk, and when I told them I couldn't open the building to let them back in, they told me to get in my car and drive away, which I did. So that was the beginning of the end of me. I had amnesia for 11 months, and as I was starting to come out of amnesia, I realized I couldn't read. And that's when I started to realize I had a brain injury. So I was under the care of Workers' Compensation Board at that time and underwent months and actually years of therapies and counseling, etc., to come over this post-traumatic stress disorder. But in that period of time, I realized I had these unusual abilities, along with this memory of being out of my body in another realm with these spirit beings who gave me all this information and this past life review and future life review. And so when I actually came back into a body, I wondered whose body it was, and because I thought I was dead, and wondered whose life it was. So I had to start all over again as a new person at the age of 30.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I had to learn how to read and write and walk and talk and interact and socialize. So, it really shattered all of our lives. And because I was a different person, and it felt like whoever I was died and somebody else took over. So it's kind of like maybe a walk-in experience that people talk about, or a reincarnation type experience. And I'm open-minded about the whole thing because of the traumatic brain injury. But having all of these unusual abilities and this future memory was really interesting. And so I did a lot of research, went back to my GP, who said I had this near-death experience. So I contacted the International Association for Near-Death Studies and did lots of research with them, and eventually helped run the Vancouver Island Near-Death Experience Association, and held lots of meetings and conferences and television and presentations at universities, and gathered a lot of stories, and really attracted a lot of people that had near-death experiences. And there was a lot of commonalities, I guess, with people who had near-death experiences, and that was that they were changed. They had their consciousness changed. They had different abilities. And so it was an enlightening time. And then I went on to train with in controlled remote viewing. So, and that was a whole other field, but still they focus on non-local consciousness, and that is really what catapulted me out of my body, I suppose, into that other dimension from the near-death experience, and gave me that past and future vision that I came back with.
I got to ask, going through all of this, previous to you being involved in this horrific incident, did you buy into any of this remote viewing, near-death experience, psychic intuition, woo-woo that is out there and that a lot of people claim to have experienced?
I tell you, I was very skeptical, even going through my own training, because I was training with Lynn Buchanan, who used to teach at the CIA, controlled remote viewing, for 25 years. And he was so impressed by my abilities, and I was very skeptical even in my training with him and with other teachers. And I thought, oh, well, how could that be? So I had to prove it to myself. And so it was really kind of an investigative process for me. So I didn't buy into anything blindly, and I like skeptics. I am kind of partial to skeptics because I was so skeptical myself.
How did it change after you started having that near-death experience? What happened to you that transformed you into a search for your own identity, your new identity in spirituality?
My memories in spirit are almost stronger than this physical plane. So, and it felt like the future memories that I came back with were so dominant. And that's what kind of drove my research for so many years, that I guess it was kind of a scientific, spiritual research project for me. And so I contacted a lot of people around the world who specialize in different fields and different disciplines to try and understand for myself what happened, so that I could put it together, because there was no one doctor, no one specialist who could answer my questions. So it became an interdisciplinary study, kind of. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
How about the people around you? How did your new situation affect the people around you, your husband, your children, your family, your parents, your friends? I mean, because I know when a lot of people open up, including myself, to this entire new realm, it's a little bit shocking, and there's a lot of people in our lives that don't quite understand what it is we're actually seeing and going through at that point.
That is an amazing question, because my marriage shattered. My husband could see that it was obvious that I had these abilities, and he said, "Oh, you're going to be helping a lot of people." But I was still searching to understand what had happened. And I didn't even know him. I didn't even know who he was. I thought, well, who's that man there? It was really bizarre. And I didn't know I had children. I didn't even know what a car was. So, having to relearn everything all over again was really difficult. And without very much support, I have to say it was really a lot of traumatic years of searching. I was really heavily involved in churches my whole life until that time, because after that, when I came back from the spirit realm, church just didn't fit anymore. There was, fundamentalist religions don't adequately describe what happens in a spiritual transformation. And my parents, my mother had a near-death experience, a couple of them, and she described them very well to me. So once I had one, then I finally understood what she was talking about.
I think that's an important line that you just kind of said there, that, it affects your life in ways you have no way of controlling or really comprehending. Did you feel you were out of control and that you didn't know, because you're trying to figure out what life is again, and there has to be some sort of semblance there, but you just can't put your fingers on it? Mm-hmm, how did that work for you?
I was kind of lost in the desert, so to speak, for about 10 years, I guess, until I started getting professional training, and then I started to understand how this transformation can be applied in everyday life, and how these new abilities can be applied. And so it was a really long, lonely path. It felt like I evolved into a different person with different abilities, and the old life was gone, taken away from me.
I want to get into what you said just a moment ago, too, about churches, because I think this is quite important. When you open up and have a real life-altering experience, like you said, you all of a sudden found the fundamentalist style of any type of religion, was very wrong compared to what you are now believing because of what you experienced. Now, for a lot of people who do attend church or a church or monastery or wherever they decide to show their religious faith and worship, it's not a shot at the religion, is it, so much as it's hard to understand what any pastor, reverend is saying when they haven't experienced what you saw. And it almost makes it almost makes it irrelevant. So it's not a real shot of, oh, I hate church now. It's more an understanding that you can't tell me the miraculous sights that I have seen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I don't hate church. I think they play an important role in the world. And I look at it from where I sit now in life as kind of a kindergarten for the study of true spirituality. So when you do have a spiritual experience, it kind of evaporates the religiosity, if I can say it that way. Because in my near-death experience, when I was out of my body, I wasn't with somebody that I was taught looked like Jesus. I was on a mountain outside of time and space with 3 men who looked like they were from India. And all this information they gave to me was exuded from them like telepathy, but it was like cosmic consciousness flowing into me. And they downloaded me with all this information. It was really the most dominant memory that I came back with.
Can you go into detail about that experience with you had your own personal 3 wise men. I don't say that to make fun or be in jest, but that's almost what it was like.
It is what it was like. And it was outside of time and space. It was very warm, very bright. it felt like home. It felt like that's where I belonged. And we were sitting on these very special chairs. And there was clearly a border. And I've drawn this place many times because I feel so connected to it. And, you know, they were dressed in these white, classic white tunic top that Gandhi wore, and the Gandhi cap, the flattened Gandhi cap. And so when I first came back, I thought, well, what does this mean? Does this mean I'm going to be trading something at an international level with India? Is that my future? You know, I couldn't really make heads or tails of it until I found the International Association for Near-Death Studies, and then I started to get some answers. But it still feels like home to me.
So when you had this amazing experience with your own personal three wise men, I hope you don't mind me calling them that.
Yeah.
How did you react? Was it emotional? Were you unsure whether you're not you should approach them or allow them to approach you? Take us through that entire scenario. What did they say to you?
They didn't say anything. Their information was kind of telepathically downloaded into me. But I had body language. I was trading or exchanging something with them. And there was a lot of information that they gave me, so that when I came back, I was filled with knowledge that I don't remember studying. So I would go to the library and take out, 7 books at a time from people who had 2 or 3 degrees in all these different disciplines, and I'd have them all the books open on my bed, just flipping through them all, and I could remember everything, yet I don't have that educational background. But I came back with all that information, and I was quite astounded. However, there's one thing that troubled me in this awakening process that I still haven't really answered. And that is, I kept having these precognitive dreams, and I went to a professor of psychology at a university, and I said, well, I'm having these precognitive dreams, and they're coming true in the order that I've written them down. And he said to me, well, nobody's going to believe you, Terry. And I thought, oh my gosh, this person is teaching how many students? And how is he preparing these future psychologists to help people having a spiritual emergence? So that was my concern, but it didn't stop me from pursuing these precognitive experiences. And I would have so many of them, especially there's one person on the planet that I've had a lot of them with, and I would wake up swearing because I thought, well, why is this person in my head? Why is this person in my dreams? What is it about me or my life that has anything to do with that person? But I learned from experience that when I have these precognitive dreams, I know eventually I'm going to meet that person. And there seems to be a plan, but I felt at that time when it was first starting like I was being manipulated, that I was being fed, implanted or fed information that didn't come from me. And I kind of felt manipulated, and I thought, well, whose program is this? But it seems now that it's part of the future plan. Because when you're outside of time and space, there is no time. Your non-local consciousness is not dependent on time or location. So I was kind of catapulted into that evolution of consciousness where there is no time and no space. It's just, a frequency domain.
What's that like to be in, some sort of time-space continuum where there is no time, where you're just there, you're just existing, and that's the way it's supposed to be? Did you think that you were dead? Did you feel
I did think I was dead. I did, and that was the big shock when I came back from my travels. I'm going to call it space-time travel. That when I came back into a body, it was like, oh my God, whose body is this? I don't even fit this body. And whose life is this? And what does it mean to be female? Like I felt like I was from somewhere else, really. And, you know, I really thought I was dead because when you're there, you could travel at the speed of thought. Which is, you know, it's very...
For a lot of us who have never experienced that, that's a little hard to comprehend.
Yeah, you're not the only one. So, yeah.
So what's that like, to travel at the spirit of thought? Like all of a sudden you're like, hey, I feel like going to Disneyland or going to see the pyramids in Egypt, and boom, you're there?
And you're there. Well, that's sort of the same kind of training that you get when you're taught controlled remote viewing, because you're taught through these scientific protocols to send your consciousness anywhere, anytime. And it happens, you know, very quickly once you get sight contact, just like when you're out of your body. So, you know, it's a fascinating field. And these are fascinating experiences that totally transformed my life.
Do you ever wonder why it was you that was chosen, why you had to go through this, why you had to take this path when you were going through your future, you know, looking towards the future to see what was coming? Did you see that this was going to be your calling? I'm sure that's what I was shown when I was out of body. But when I was back in body and these precognitions, deja vu would happen. It would be like to the power of 10. It wasn't just a simple deja vu. It was very, very powerful deja vu. And it would just pull me right into it. And it was like, oh God, I remember that. That's that precognitive dream I had. And here's this list of dreams I wrote down. And, you know, I didn't have what I thought was a educational background in quantum physics or anything, but that is kind of what I was experiencing, was this cosmic consciousness, quantum physics realm, and bridging, you know, that realm with the physical realm. On that note, I'm going to get you to hold on. We are going to hop out for our first break of the night. Terry Anderson talking controlled remote viewing, near-death experiences. We got more coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject, from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. So thankful to have you all with us tonight. We're one day from the weekend and one day from the SOR 4th anniversary. You better join us tomorrow night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tonight, though, we are talking near-death experiences and remote viewing with Terry Anderson. She is a Canadian researcher into a lot of this kind of weird woo type stuff. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Make sure your tinfoil is ready. Because I always have the tinfoil ready, Terry. Always have the tinfoil ready. You know, you can't do this job without at least 30, 40 rolls of aluminum foil under your chair, and that's what I got.
Oh, isn't that funny that you should mention foil? Because I used to read tinfoil, like psychometry. I'd get people to crumple up a piece of tinfoil into a ball, and then I'd read their tinfoil.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So it's funny you should mention tinfoil.
I have never heard of that, reading tinfoil.
Yeah.
That takes woo to a whole new ballgame. Whole new ballgame. But before we get into that, I want to get into near-death experiences because you really didn't know about them until you had your own. For people who have never experienced it, we heard your story last hour, but what goes through your mind when you are having this experience, and how do you know it's real and not just some sort of brain psychosis that happens during trauma?
Oh, I really thought it was a brain psychosis or something, you know. So I was at a hospital in Vancouver listening to a neurologist talk about brain function to medical staff. And so I described this near-death experience with a sawed-off shotgun against my head, and he described physiologically what happens when a person is in a near-death experience situation where they cannot escape. So the adrenaline is tripped, and it peaks, and it cascades, and the blood rushes from your extremities to your organs, and it prepares your body to die if you cannot escape. There's, he said, a death hormone that's tripped, and at that moment, you can see everything all at once, past, present, future. And then he said it takes years to integrate all those images. And I thought, wow, well, nobody's ever told me anything like that before. So I kind of let that simmer, you know, and really pondered that. And it fit my experience, but it wasn't enough information for me. I'm kind of became an information addict after. That's not so bad.
What were you seeking, though? After you came back, you got back in your body. What was that feeling like for you to all of a sudden realize and blink and open your eyes and think, what the hell just happened? What went through your mind?
Well, I didn't understand. I really didn't. So I went back to my GP and told him what I was experiencing. And he says, oh, you've had this near-death experience. So he was the one that actually referred me to the International Association for Near-Death Studies. And so I connected with them and really started to understand this change that people go through. And it is a change of consciousness. And so some of the research I did was Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And in Egypt, I understand they used to put people into near-death experience situations to produce seers for their group, for their community. I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting because, I had become a seer. And I was still, exploring it and testing it and trying to understand it, trying to integrate it, especially with this new personality and this new future plan that I came back with. And then some people I can't think of them right off the bat, but some researchers were saying, well, you planned this life, this time. I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Well, I'm still open-minded about that.
Did you seek counsel for what you were going through, either on a psychiatric level or on a hypnotherapy type level, to try and figure out what it was once you knew you were starting to get healthy and continuing with these experiences?
I went through a 6-month psychiatric group therapy with quite a famous psychiatrist, and it was a complete teardown and rebuild of all of us, in front of each other. It was very enlightening and very difficult work. It's not easy work. It's not for the faint of heart, I have to say, because I had a lot of trauma. I'd had a lot of loss, catastrophic losses and injuries. So I had to rebuild a new self. And in that, at the end of it, we had to write a review for the psychiatrist, and I was talking about these interdimensional experiences. He said, "What do you mean, interdimensional?" And I thought, well, that's odd that he doesn't understand what I'm saying. Yeah, because I have interdimensional awareness. I have interdimensional experiences and memories, and my readings are even interdimensional. So, I had very limited thinking, and found out that other people do too. So yeah, I went through lots of counseling, years of counseling with a variety of people. And then I found a past life review therapist. And I had been looking for her for 18 years, and I finally found her. And so we hit it off very well, and we exchanged readings, and it was very interesting work. Very, very interesting, I have to say. It was quite profound, what I learned and what she learned. And so, I'm open about these other modalities of information access about our soul and our life and other people's souls and lives.
So when you were going through this and you started learning about other souls, other lives, and you trying to match it up to your own experiences that you have, did you start to realize back then and moving forward that you weren't alone, that there were other people who had this feeling?
Lots of people. There are lots of people on the planet that have had these transformational near-death experiences. And more all the time, especially with modern science, being able to bring people back from near-death experiences and heart attacks, etc. So the field is growing, especially with education and the internet, etc. Books, conferences.
Did you at all, I know you said you saw your 3 wise men, but did you at all see any loved ones or family members or pets on the other side as well?
I did. I reconnected with a son that I lost, a baby, and my grandmother who had died, and my mother who had died, my grandfather who had died, and those were the dominant ones. And we had a dog, and I experienced the dog spirit after she died. And then I started experiencing this with other people's departed loved ones, when I do readings. And the most difficult, I guess what drove me into this research, and I really want to talk about that, is I had a dream after my near-death experience when I became so psychic, I guess. I had a dream about my brother and his son. It was a terrible dream about an accident, and I wanted to phone him, but I didn't have his phone number because we had kind of got disconnected from each other, and we lived, he lived in Vancouver, I live on the island. And anyway, this was about him and his son, and I was hurrying to catch a flight to the States, and I didn't want to miss my flight, so I phoned one of my sisters and told her about the dream. And she gave me his phone number, but I didn't phone him, even though in my gut I felt, oh my gosh, I should phone him, and I should warn him. And anyway, I went to the States, came back 2 weeks later, and I had another dream that I was on this bed, and there was a child on the bed, and the bed was moving into a hole in the wall, and there was a cloudy brain. And I woke up and I thought, well, what is this? This is not a dream. This is a visit with a child. Who is this child, and what does this mean? And I went to work, and I was telling a lady at lunch about that dream, and my sister phoned me. And she said our nephew had been hit by a car that night, and he was in the Vancouver Children's Hospital in a coma. They did an MRI scan. It showed a cloudy brain, which meant he had brain damage. So we met in Vancouver, met with my brother, who pulled me aside and explained what happened. And then he took me into the room where my nephew lay. He was 8 years old. And here's this little 8-year-old boy, 7 or 8, laying in a coma. And it was the first time I'd ever met him. Yet it was twice that I had one precognitive dream about the car accident, and then a dream 2 weeks later about the MRI scan. And I was just dumbfounded. I thought, well, how could I have these dreams or visits with somebody I'd never met? And I stood in prayer, and I didn't know what to do. I felt so guilty for not phoning my brother. And that's what propelled me forward, was that guilt of not warning my brother. Because I thought, well, maybe I could have prevented this accident, if I'd phoned my brother and told him. And that was kind of what pushed me down the controlled remote viewing path, because I asked my teacher at that time, Lynn Buchanan, I said, well, if we can see the future, can we do anything about it? And he said absolutely, and then he took me on this time experiment to go forward in time and backward in time, doing controlled remote viewing. And I had total sight contact with the target, and I could feel everything in my body and in my consciousness. And so it was proven to me that, this works, and there's ways you can access this in a controlled manner, on command, when you want to use it, not haphazardly, although I still honor all the stuff I get haphazardly, because I feel it's supposed to be delivered to somebody, So, yeah, that was, and then I had another dream. Well, this was a spiritual visit from another nephew who had come to me. It was 10 months after he died, and gave me specific information for his twin sister that I didn't know, because they used to live in Parksville. And I only met them a few times, so I didn't know this information that he was sharing with me after he died. And so, once she confirmed that the next morning, I thought, wow, there's really something going on here, and I really need to investigate this more. So, I do this work to honor these experiences, and to try and help people to prevent other kinds of situations, because I know I can.
What did you know about remote? What did you know about remote viewing before you went down this rabbit hole? Did you believe it when you first heard about it? Because a lot of people out there are like, "Oh, this is where we hop on the woo train and go for a long ride down to Nowheresville."
Oh, wow. Well, what an interesting concept that is. When my first remote viewing conference was many years ago, and I went there to listen to one of my favorite scientists, William Tiller. And, he's brilliant, and I loved everything he had to say. And then I found out that, there's remote viewers here, and the CIA is here, and I thought, well, I don't really want to be with the CIA. But I did see somebody that I wanted to get training with, and so I pursued that person for training. But when I was there and doing these exercises, public demonstrations, I thought, wow, these are my peers. So, I got both feet in and had very extensive training, even, started training for world operations, and I thought, well, I don't want to be doing military stuff, so then I decided to go off and do other kinds of training with other people. So no, this is real. The CIA used to use or train people in remote viewing, psychic spies, that's what they called them then, and this is just flexing a muscle. It's flexing your consciousness. And once you start and you have these experiences, there's no turning back. You can't undo it. You've opened up a path that you can't deny. And it's so empowering and intriguing and helpful, if it's used in the right way, that you don't go back. And I would never go back to the way I was before.
Did it make you feel different? Did it make you feel that now that you were trying the controlled remote viewing, that you had some sort of control over your mind and memory, which had suffered such traumatic injury?
Well, no, I didn't. But what I did have was control over my abilities to be able to use them and develop them the way I wanted.
Define that if you don't mind.
Well, I thought, whoever I was shattered and dead and gone, and this new person took over and had to, relearn with how to deal with all these new abilities. So, I needed specific training. And in fact, it's kind of funny, at the intermediate level of controlled remote viewing, when I left to come back to Canada, I thought, I feel like the X-Men. So I think there are, a lot of people on the planet with a lot of different kinds of abilities. And my take on it is, when I'm doing that kind of work, I'm pulling information from the field, and I can decode it because it's all frequency. Just like you turn on the radio, and there is the frequency, or a TV station. It's the same thing. So our brains are sending and receiving stations. And I was taught to use my whole body as a sending and receiving station. Just if that makes sense.
Okay, I think a lot of people, including myself, are having troubles wondering what do you mean by receiving station, and how does that work?
Well, when you turn on the TV, you can change different channels, and musicians, they can pull these, they connect to this source, and inventors, they connect to the source. They connect to a field where this information is. And so different people with different abilities, artists, whatever, people that work with technology, they connect either naturally and or through education to connect, or with their gifts and abilities to connect to this field where they draw this information or it comes to them. So, I've had a lot of training in how to do that. And it's really exciting.
I can tell. And, it's something, out of all the weird experiences that I've had, I can't sit there and say that I've worked with remote viewing.
Wow.
So we got about 3 minutes here before we have to get to our break. We're going to get into a lot of remote viewing after the break. But to finish up on the near-death experiences that you had and how it kind of set a new path for you, how much more enlightened do you feel after having that near-death experience comparatively to maybe before, when your eyes were closed to the whole spirituality aspect a little bit?
Wow. Well, having a near-death experience is an enlightenment process and an evolution of consciousness. And not only of your consciousness, but I think at a cellular level and a DNA level, because I changed. I completely changed. My outlook, my interests, my relationships, choices, direction, abilities. I mean, I was completely transformed. So it's like two totally different people. And there was, it's like, I felt that I mourned my own death. That was a very weird experience.
Oh, you have to tell us that. What's that like?
well, I mourned the death of a self that was no longer here, but it felt like I had to finish up that life because I still had 2 young daughters at home, and after my marriage shattered, and so I lost my husband, and that whole life. So it was not just the armed robbery assault; it was the loss of family after that. So it was compounded losses, and the physical recovery too. So it took literally a small army of professionals to help put me back together again. So I've had a lot of help to put me back to who I am today. So I have a lot of people to thank.
Do you feel like you're a better person? Do you like the person you are now comparatively to who you were before this?
Oh yes, much better. There's no difference. There's no, not difference, comparison is what I mean. Yeah, I'm a much better person. I'm more grounded. I have my worldview was shattered, so I had to become more curious, I suppose, about this world and the other dimensions, and how I fit here, because I didn't feel like I was from here, I have to say.
Where did you feel you were from?
Well, it felt like I was out of my body for such a long time that I felt like that was home, not here. So there was this whole readjustment phase of being comfortable in body again, because you have to move this body, and this body's very heavy. You have gravity here, and so it was, really strange thought processes and experiences, and maybe some of it has to do with brain injury and trauma and PTSD and all of that, but these spiritual insights and experiences and communications with other entities or beings or whatever, spirit realm, these are life-changing, consciousness-altering.
And on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Terry Anderson is our guest. We're going to get into controlled remote viewing in hour number 2 on Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, it's a special one. It's the 4-year anniversary of Spaced Out Radio. Happens on the SOR Roundtable as well, so come hang out. We got the Roundtable. I think we're going to open up the lines to you as well. Tell us your favorite Spaced Out Radio stories. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh, my God, Bill. Otorhinolaryngologist. What the hell is this, Bill? Otorhinolaryngologist? That's... Yeah, Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Otorhinolaryngologist? What the hell is that? Anyways, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot soon, shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, and read up on all of Captain Shirk's news at the SOR News Wire. Tonight we are talking controlled remote viewing. We have Terry Anderson with us tonight. Terry, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. Thank you.
You got into controlled remote viewing. Why did you decide that this was an angle you wanted to take?
Well, I needed to learn how to apply these new abilities that I came back with. And actually, just backing up a little bit, there was some fellow that came to visit me because of the research I was doing and queries around the world with different people. Some fellow that came and said he was from Blue Book and tested me, and he claimed I was a prodigy, and he wanted me to brainstorm with the Tesla group because I have these memories of very advanced technologies. And he looked very official and everything, but I had, a young daughter still at home, and I wasn't ready. And I was skeptical, He said, "Oh, you've been abducted." And I thought, well, I'm not ready to hear anything like that. So I just kind of put it on the back burner. And I didn't want to go down that road. And plus I was so skeptical, and I was a little bit paranoid too. I thought, well, if I have these abilities, then I should figure out how to be comfortable with them and how to use and develop them. So I just, ignored that whole thing and found the remote viewing community and started my training. And I was in fact, the first training that I got, I was there with a young couple who were also students, and this lady, this young couple were showing the beginning stages of remote viewing, and I thought, oh, they're planted here to try and impress me. I mean, that's how skeptical I was. And then before you know it, I was doing the exact same thing. I thought, wow, that's very interesting how this works. And so you're talking about non-local consciousness and how you can send your consciousness anywhere and gather information, and it's, accurate, and anybody can do it. So then I went for more advanced training, and I was floored with what I could do. Doing time experiments and location experiments on maps and events, and being able to describe these things very accurately. And I, even through the training, I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a clue. But, the students were impressed, and teacher was impressed, and I'm dumbfounded. I still don't understand what I'm doing. So it took me, quite a long time to break through my skepticism and denial about my own abilities, and really how easy remote viewing is to learn and to do.
What's the purpose of doing it?
Well, there's lots of ways you can apply it. You can apply it in any field. And in fact, medical applications was one of the courses that I took in remote viewing, and I use that in my readings, where I can scan anybody's body anywhere on the planet by phone or Skype or whatever. They don't even have to be present during the reading. It could be for somebody else, and I could do a reading on their loved one and get accurate information, because I can tap into their body and tell exactly what's going on in the body. So it's the same thing. You're getting full sight contact with a person, place, thing, event, past, present, future, living things, inanimate objects. It doesn't really matter.
So when you decided to get into controlled remote viewing, I mean, to me, when I look at this, I see it as being something dangerous that could be used to, by people in the wrong way, to be checking in on people they shouldn't be.
Really good. Yeah, no. I do want to speak to that, because, when the U.S. talks about intelligence, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about their psychic spies, and they're all over the world, and they're hired for different purposes in different fields. And during my training for world operations, they were all military targets, and I thought, I don't want to be doing this, where I'm hiring out my talent for somebody I don't know who or for what purpose. I thought, no, I want control of this for myself and to help people in ways that feels right for me, and for the other person. So that's why I left that training and went on to other kinds of training.
So how do you stop people from using it for more malevolent causes, like checking up on an ex, or, maybe you have a boss that you hate and you want some dirt on them?
Oh, well, the information is there for people who have the skills to access it. And somebody even bilocated or remote viewed me, and I know that they were somewhere thousands of miles away, and I could see them clear as day standing right outside my door. And so, I know that this works. You can send your consciousness anywhere to get any information on anybody, anytime, anywhere, or anything. So then it's up to each individual person, And I've seen in a film, actually, at one of the conferences, on the negative application of these skills, and it was horrific. And the film producer wondered why his film wasn't a big hit, and that the content was so dark. I said, look, the public doesn't want to see this. We don't want to see this kind of stuff. So I said, if you do it around medical things, you're using it in a hospital setting or something where it's really helping people, you're gonna have a bigger success with it. So there are, and maybe the military uses these for their own war games, and their plots and schemes of, however they do their plotting against others. I don't buy into any of that. To me, that's all very dark, and I don't want to be involved in it, So
take us through remote viewing. What exactly is it, and what exactly happens? How do you get to do it?
Well, you're taught something. It's called ideograms, and there's a little, say, an icon, if you want to say that. An ideogram is like an icon. It's a little wavy line for water, circle for, space. And they have these very simple little sketches, and they mean a person, place, thing, event, etc. So you practice those, and then you go into session, and you're given 6 numbers or a target. You're given a target, and it can be 6 numbers. Maybe it's not ever a target, but you just say, okay, do the task, and so then you're kind of blind at times to do your remote viewing. And so you do a little ideogram or a sketch, and when you put your ego aside, your higher consciousness comes in, or your non-local consciousness comes in, and this ideogram or sketch comes out, and then you decode the sketch with all of the impressions that you get. It's quite lengthy, actually. It's a lot of work. Because some of the work is very complex in how much information you can get. And you can get full sight contact doing that, where you get lots of descriptors and you can draw whatever the target is. You can feel it, smell it, touch it, taste it, whatever. And then at some point during training, you're shown the picture of what the target is, and it's remarkable. You know, some people are so good at it, and others, really have to study and practice a lot. But some people are just so darn good at it. So, and I remember at the really advanced training, the fellow said to me, at some point along the way, Terry, you won't need to do all the sketching and stuff. You'll just get the information. And that's what happened. I just get the information now. I don't have to do the sketches. I don't have to do all the handwork. I know how to access it now. But that's,
if you wouldn't mind just kind of going through what it's like to remote view, like take us through a scenario as why you would use it and what happened.
Okay. Well, let me talk about the intermediate level of training with Lynn Buchanan. I was the person who had to do the work. The teacher was kind of walking me through it. Oh, and there's some students, of course. So they all get to see a picture. I don't, right? I'm the one who has to do I'm tasked with explaining or defining the target. So he says, okay, here's the ideogram, and or the numbers for the target, and I was sketched out the ideogram, and then I had to define it. And then in the middle of that, he gave me a lump of plasticine. It was yellow plasticine. He says, okay, sketch it, or not sketch it, but mold it into what you feel is the target. Because the target was a location and an event. And so I'm molding this yellow plasticine. I said, oh, I don't know, it's a yellow banana. I don't know. It's okay, now touch it at different places and tell me what you sense. And I said, well, there's some stop and go lights here, and there's some boards coming up here that kind of sprung loose, and there's some water down here. And he says, and you don't know what it is? I said, no, I don't have a clue. Because you're not supposed to identify what it is, you're supposed to describe what it is. And then he brings up this map, and it's a map of, I don't know, somewhere in the States. And he said, go over the map and tell me where the location is. And I went over it with my pulse, and I said, it's right here. And he just jumped out of his chair. He said, oh my God. He was so excited. I thought, well, why is he so excited? I still don't know what I'm doing. So at the end of it all, I had to. And then he says, okay, now, because it's a location and an event, he said, back up 1 minute in time before the event and tell me what you feel. I said, okay, there's something holding back. He said, okay, now go 1 minute forward in time as the event is happening and tell me what you feel. And my whole body was shaking and falling down. I said, there's something falling down. And then at the end of my work, they showed me the picture, and here it is, the suspension bridge in Seattle, and it was falling down. The boards had sprung loose, and, I was totally amazed. I thought, oh my gosh, I could see it, I could feel it, I could sense it with my body, as if I was way back there in the, I think it was 1958 or something like that. I'm not sure about the exact time or date. It was a long time ago that it happened. I had full sight body contact with that event, backward and forward in time. So, I was hooked. After that, I thought, wow. So now I use that, every day when I do readings for people. Medical intuitive work, looking into the past, the present, or the future for them in whatever area of their life they want information on. Yeah.
How does it help people? How do you... go around with clients. Okay, so let's say someone calls and says to you, I need your help. What are you helping them with? Are you helping them find, all these missing left socks out there? Are you that? And trust me, I have like 2 grocery bags full of left socks that have just disappeared. Or are you helping them find their car keys? Are you helping them find their pets? They're scanning them for their own health. What are you doing with your talents?
Yeah, I start every reading with a medical intuitive body scan because I've learned that, first of all, it shows them my accuracy and that I want that really solid connection to their body. I found early stage cancer for them when they didn't know that they had it. I've saved people's lives. I see car accidents ahead of time, and I know within a couple of days when it's going to be. Or if the loved one's going to have a heart issue or a stroke or something like that. So I always do that as a common, as a public service for them. And then I could go in and get the information that they want in any area of their life or for anybody, and the person doesn't even have to be present. If it's, for a loved one, or they want to connect to a departed loved one, or, it's really quite wide open. I have found jewelry that was missing, expensive jewelry. And I knew where it was, and I drew it out and everything, and the person found it. So, seeing people ahead of time and trying to figure out the timelines, that's kind of where I'm challenged, just trying to discern with more clarity a more accurate time frame where I'm seeing these things, and that's my biggest challenge at this stage.
What is the difference between psychic premonition and remote viewing then?
What a good question. Well, when you're doing a remote viewing session, there's a whole discipline and protocol around that, which I've learned how to sidestep all the diagrams and stuff, so that I can just go and get the information in a reading now. I don't think I can answer that question, really. It's a very good question, Dave.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, if you're predicting car accidents and potential health scares, wouldn't that be more, I don't want to use the word presumptuous, but wouldn't that be more of psychic ability than remote viewing?
Okay, thank you for asking it that way. What I do is I use all the remote viewing training and medical applications and the ability to send my consciousness through time to gather that information. And sometimes I still do timelines or sketches, but it's a lot shorter version than the original training that I was taught. So I'm still using all those skills and more from different organizations and places that I've had training with. It's just I'm refining it, I guess, and simplifying it, getting the information faster.
Got a question from Shar in our audience here. She is asking, have you ever been seen by people when you were remote viewing?
Good question, Shar. I feel like I've had bilocation experiences with other people, and I've been inside their house, and I could tell you about their house, but I've never been there physically. But when I meet that person, I'm going to be able to tell them all kinds of stuff about their life and their home. So that one's kind of mixed, because there's this psychic ability where I remember shaking someone's hand and boom, I could see right into his house, and I told him all about his house and his wife and their artwork on the walls, and he was, we were both kind of amazed. And that was before remote viewing training, so that was a psychic component. So, but nobody has told me that they have seen me, remote viewing them. So I hope that answers your question, Shar.
Well, you're lucky, because I've had remote viewers on here before who said people have seen, little sparkles, almost like tinsel or something along those lines when they've been in the home and of someone else.
Wow. Very interesting.
So I'll throw this at you then. What do you think the difference is between remote viewing then and what a lot of people claim to do with astral travel?
Okay, I remember astral traveling in the very beginning, having these out-of-body experiences and traveling, and there was this cord I was connected to, and you had to get above the power lines because you can travel much better once you get above the power lines. There's something about these perhaps electrical pollution or something that affects our astral body. At least that's my current thought. And so then bilocation is when your physical body, or your spirit body, I guess, is actually with somebody else. And that's in another, I don't know if they want to call it multidimensional or whatever, I don't know. But I think our ethereal body can travel independent of the physical body. And because I've had so many out-of-body experiences where I have traveled and been with other people, and then I meet those people in the future. So I think there's maybe 3 components to that I could relate to, I suppose. And I don't know even if I answered your question fully. You might have to ask me a different way.
Well, we might have to delay that until after the break, because we're going to go to a break here in about a minute here. But in regards to the remote view, as we come up to our break, do you do it in a group session or do you do it while alone? Because I think a lot of people would prefer it being done in a group session for almost that type of confirmation that you are getting with someone else who might be there with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, for all the training that I've had, it was always with groups. For these, what I would call bilocations, which could be remote viewing, those seem to be different. These people that can bilocate, it's typically after a near-death experience when they can leave their physical body, a part of their consciousness, with the shape of their physical body, but it's the ethereal body or energy body can travel. It's not just their consciousness. So I think that's kind of I don't know.
Well, let's just leave it right there for now, as we're going to step out for a break here. Remote viewer Terry Anderson is joining us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. More on remote viewing, ions, and so much more coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, talking remote viewing tonight with remote viewer Terry Anderson. Terry, welcome back tonight.
Thank you so much, Dave.
I'd like to get to some audience questions here, because we love our audience participation around here, if you don't mind.
All right.
We're going to start off on Twitter with Andrew, who is a fellow BC person. He's over in North Vancouver, and he says, Terry, Vancouver Island has been considered by many people in the paranormal field to be a hub for ghosts, witchcraft, UFOs, everything. Do you find this part of the world is more available for more things paranormal, and if so, why?
Wow, what a good question, Andrew. Thank you so much. My dad used to live in North Van, so I know it well. But speaking to your question, I have met people who claim to be witches, and I was always kind of taken aback. I thought, well, okay, all right, if that's what you're into, that's your thing. And speaking about UFOs, well, I have some memories, like UFO-type memories. And with ghosts, I don't call them ghosts. For me, these are departed souls, and they come through in readings and communicate very accurate details for the loved ones for specific reasons, and it's typically because they have unfinished business. So it's ultimately for healing. And in fact, I've talked to 2 different doctors who called me a healer, and I was really kind of blindsided with that. I thought, well, that sounds weird. I even said to them, you're the doctor. They said, no, you're a healer. So I think, although there are people that claim to be witches, I'm not one of them. And I don't feel that for me, remote viewing or what I do has anything to do with witchcraft. For me, this has to do with the theory of interconnectedness. And because we're all part of this great cosmos, we breathe the same air. We're made of stardust, you know. This is an evolution of consciousness that once people have these near-death experiences, that they become, it's kind of, it's growth, it's spiritual growth. I choose to use my abilities for good to help others. So I don't feel darkness, although in some readings I have felt, you know, a person who had murdered others, who was dead. And I felt that darkness, and I don't like that kind of darkness. So I don't gravitate there, which is why I don't do military work. You know, that's all about control and domination and, you know. So I hope that answers your question, Andrew.
Have you been asked to do military work before?
Well, I was trained, you know, it was all military targets, and I don't want to be doing that kind of work, you know. I don't want to be doing that kind of work. To me, that's very dark. And when I use my abilities, I want to know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm helping people. So in the beginning of a reading, I always ask them, why do you want a reading? Tell me one-word reasons: family, departed, health, travel, work, business, inventions, whatever it is. And then I can send my consciousness there and get it for them.
Let's get to Andrew's second question, follow-up from him. He says, Terry, you mentioned that you have been scanned remotely. Now that intelligence agencies would obviously be aware of your abilities, have you sensed that you are being monitored either electronically or otherwise?
That's another very good question. I did feel like that in the very beginning before I started my training. I felt like someone gave me a program inside my head that was running the show, and I was very upset about it. I felt very manipulated. I thought, well, where's my free will? And and do we have free will, or is this destiny? I felt that was a really tough one for me to come to terms with, which I did over the course of doing my training with a variety of people. And that's another reason why I left that kind of training because I didn't want to use my abilities in ways that I couldn't monitor. So I kind of felt like I was being electronically, like I was a vamp, like they were trying to vamp me electronically. So I hope that answers your question. And I'm not tapped into that anymore. I like what I do, the medical intuitive work, and helping people intergenerationally and interdimensionally, and that is really deeply rewarding for me and for the other people that I work with.
Let's get to Marcus's question on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. He says, do you think dowsers are like apprentice remote viewers in training?
Well, I was taught dowsing, and it's teaching you how to use your body and an instrument like an antenna, right? And so it is kind of the beginning stages of learning how to use your body. So like I used to read cards and tinfoil and ribbons. I could read, somebody's car keys or whatever. It didn't matter. A wedding dress, a hat, didn't matter. And so at some other training that I did, I was going to do psychometry, they call it. And the tutor was right beside me. She said, what are you doing? And I said, psychometry? She says, oh, we don't do that here. Should we go directly to the divine? So, I was trained how to use all these tools, and then I was trained out of it. So now I just use my body as this big antenna. And so that's how I get the impressions. And sometimes I probably look kind of weird because I get information through spiritual sign language. Or quantum sign language, and I decode it. I probably look kind of weird, sometimes when I'm doing it, but at least I don't have to write out all the ideograms and that kind of thing.
Sharon is asking, how does someone learn and practice remote viewing?
Well, you have to find the teachers, and so there's lots of teachers. Lori Williams is one. She's a wonderful lady. I don't know if Lynn Buchanan is teaching anymore, but people at the International Remote Viewing Community, IRVA, I-R-V-A, there's lots of people there that teach it. There's somebody here, Paul Elder on Vancouver Island. He teaches it. He's very well known. He's a straight-up guy. I don't teach. I'm not in a position. I don't want to be teaching at this time. But you just look it up, controlled remote viewing teachers on the internet, and you'll find all kinds of people.
All right, let's continue on. I got a pair of questions from Gary here.
Okay.
And Gary is asking, number one, he says, I want to astral travel. Doesn't seem to work for me, though. He says, I think I have to clear my mind of any thoughts, but I keep trying. They say you are supposed to try it early in the morning. Do you agree with this? When is the best time?
I don't think time has, sidereal time, but I don't think, for me anyway, I'm speaking personally from experience, time doesn't matter for me. But there is, let's see which institute is that. It's Hemi-Sync, which is, I'm trying to think of the institute who teaches this astral traveling and out-of-body experience stuff. I can't remember his name. But once you're open and this stuff happens through, mine started through meditation, believe it or not. I did a very deep meditation after this armed robbery assault, and I was like transported to another dimension. And I had what I think is a Kundalini experience where I saw these 3 liquid golden crystalline light bars inside my head, and I was transported to another dimension, and I spoke something that happened a week later. And my husband witnessed it. I was married still. It was just right after the armed robbery assault, and he said, "Whoa, wow." He said, and I was kind of clueless as to how to explain it. But once you have these openings, then astral travel is a natural unfoldment. And it's, I think meditating and connecting to your heart beating, getting really focused in on your breath and deep breathing and your heart beating. And that kind of opens that up. So there are, like Hemi-Sync. Wow, I'm trying to think of that organization that teaches all of this. I wish I could remember it, what it is. Sorry, I can't.
Oh, that's all right. Let's get to the second question from Gary here. As he says, is there a risk that you might run into demons while astral traveling or remote viewing?
Wow. Well, I really don't know. I am such a positive person that I don't think along those lines. At all. So, my experiences have been really positive and enlightening and loving, and, I don't think about demons or demonology or witchcraft or anything like that. It doesn't even enter my consciousness. This is about quantum physics, and this is about the cosmos. It's not about dark entities and that kind of thing. I would run the other way if it was.
All right, let's get back to Sharon's next question. And she is asking, let me see, where is it here? Do you know of anybody who has gotten sick when they astral travel, like sickness or dizziness? Are there side effects?
Side effects? Wow, isn't that a good question? Okay, here's how I can answer that. When you have, we have these chakra systems. So when your chakras start to open, and it's a purification process of your consciousness within your body. And so you have to purify all these stages at each of those stages of evolution. There's lots of very good books written on these topics of transformation of self and ego and, these negative things that we have to leave behind so that we can evolve our consciousness and our energies on that, so we can get to these higher states. So I think you can get sick, you can have side effects, but that's just because you have some personal work to do. And that's typically around healing, and it's healing of your relationships and your attitudes and your interconnect, how you interconnect with people in the world, and probably past issues and current states. I hope that answers your questions, Sharon.
All right, we're going to go over to the Revolution Radio chat room here, where Up One is asking, Terry, have you ever used the internet and its technology to lock on to a person?
Well, when I do readings, I do them all over the world for people by Skype. So that's how I connect to people, if that's what you're talking about. That's the only way I can, or by phone even. But I don't even have to do that. I can connect to them and not even talk to them. Because I could, like, there was a young lady that came to me for a reading, and she wanted information about her mom, who wasn't there. And I have no idea where her mom was on the planet. But I said, and I could connect to her mom's body. And I said, your mom's, she's got Hodgkin's. And she said, yes, she does. And she wanted to know about the progression of her disease. So I explored that. And, her mom wasn't present. So, yeah, I can lock on. But that was in person. But I can do that, through phone or Skype or Facebook video or, there's the media doesn't matter.
What about photographs?
Oh, wow. Yes, that brings up memories. I was asked, somebody had shown me some photographs sent to me by email, and I was asked about, their whereabouts, and I right away knew whether or not the person was alive or dead. But, that's part of my training. I had some training with Pam Coronado, who's a psychic detective. She was also president of IRVA, the International Remote Viewing Association, for a while. So I had some training in psychic detective work with her, and those skill sets have come into my work now. I just incorporate all those skills. So yeah, I do work from photographs.
Let's get back to Andrew here for a moment.
All
and
right.
he is asking, Terry, what do you think is over the line in remote viewing? For instance, the fictional movie Minority Report was about a police agency which used 3 seers who could locate future murders and use this information to make an arrest. When does it go too far, in your opinion?
Wow. Well, that's kind of theoretical physics, isn't it? And I've seen that movie, Minority Report, because, I love science fiction. I love anything to do with the future, or these kind of sci-fi things. I love sci-fi. But what comes to mind about remote viewing is the men who stare at ghosts, because I know for a fact that you can use these abilities in dark ways. So some of my training that would be in line with the Minority Report would be finding the criminal in an airport who was going to, put a bomb on the plane or something like that. And we were tasked with trying to describe what he looked like, where he would be sitting, and what time it would be. So, yeah, that's our training. And if we can prevent a catastrophic murder or loss or accidents, absolutely. That's why I went down this path, is to try and prevent these injuries, damages, losses, loss of life. And one of the people that I trained with is doing insurance work for companies who've lost rare art, and so he uses remote viewing to try and find that. So there's lots of applications. I really enjoy the medical applications of this because, I'm really accurate. And so that's why I'm opening it up to the medical community. I'd like to work with some doctors or specialists and hone in on this and do some real world applications for it. Maybe write some papers on it.
All right. Let us go on here because our questions do continue.
Good.
And Shar is asking, do you think then with remote viewing that you were actually viewing on a different realm?
Wow. What a good question. Such good questions coming through. So, when I view, I'm seeing through time and space. So I'm seeing through into other dimensions. What we've invented this thing called time. We've invented this thing called space because, that's our quantum realm. But then there's, the microsm and the macrosm, and I can see into those realms very easily. And to me, it's all frequency, and I can decode those frequencies. So, it's just easy for me. I don't know. It's maybe I'm like a musician or an inventor or something like that, where it's kind of where I hang out in the frequency domain. I don't know if I answered.
How often do you remote view then?
Wow, all the time.
Like, is it a daily thing? Is it something that you wait till you're scheduled, or do you just get the urge that all of a sudden you have to look into something?
That's a good question, too. I did a reading for my daughter yesterday. It was really interesting because her friend just passed away a week ago. So, he came through with all this information, and it helped her grieving process. And he... when they're in spirit, they're not bound by time, this thing we call time and space. They get to see above that. And I did too when I was in that realm. So, they come through with all this other information that, our normal everyday life, we don't have access to. And I was going to give you another example.
Well, you hold on to that because we are actually going to head out for our break at the top of the hour. Remote viewer Terry Anderson is joining us. We're going to get more into UFOs.
Ooh, nice.
Viewing. Can we see what the aliens are doing up in space? We'll find out from Terry right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, it's a special one. It's the 4-year anniversary of Spaced Out Radio. We're going to open up the phone lines. We've got the round table going on, so I'm going to have a bunch of friends with us. And we get going at 9:06 Pacific, midnight. Make that 12:06 a.m. Eastern. At spacedoutradio.com. We'd love to see you all. Come on in. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Free for you to listen to. Don't forget, you could do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Otorhinolaryngologist. Otorhinolaryngologist. I think that's the one. It's one of those two. Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. And you can read up on the SOR Newswire put together by Captain Shirk. Tonight, for the final time, we introduce our guest, remote viewer Terry Anderson. Terry, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
I want to look up to the stars for a little bit here.
Okay.
And when we are taking the opportunity to stare up at the stars, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are having experiences with UFOs, extraterrestrials. We know Dr. Edgar Mitchell was very involved both in remote viewing as well as extraterrestrial contact. Explain how they all seem to tie together.
Well, near-death experiences, OBEs, like out-of-body experiences, UFO consciousness or contact, is all part of this shared consciousness evolution, evolutionary experiences, I guess. And Dr. Edgar Mitchell founded an organization called the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and they have a really good website that anyone can access and gain further insight into how they share such similarities in their understanding and awareness of the non-local consciousness and these contactee experiences. So I would encourage people to look at that website.
With Dr. Edgar Mitchell, I mean, being the sixth man to walk on the moon, believing that there was extraterrestrial aircraft basically following every Apollo mission. You know, that's a big statement from a man that I don't think got enough press over it, and unfortunately he's no longer with us. But he was very strong on consciousness, believing that consciousness had the ability to control a lot of things that we don't normally think of on a daily basis. When you are remote viewing, how are you affected by consciousness?
Wow. Well, I have UFO memories of being on huge craft. Just huge. I've never been on anything so big. And they were showing me anti-gravity technology. And this huge craft lifted up silently and moved over a body of water effortlessly. And so that's one of the dominant memories that I have. I have another memory of this tall person or being in white opening my third eye. And it was so traumatic because it didn't use any anesthetic. At least that's my feeling or comprehension. And I was shown all of these multiple screens, all of these images that went before me. And I think this was images of Earth's history and future, and my future too, because I was also shown genetic engineering and really super advanced computer chip technology like we don't have here. Because I even went to universities and talked to professors, and I had never seen a computer chip, and they said, no, that hasn't been invented yet. So, I thought, okay, well, what am I seeing, and why am I seeing this? And I have memories of huge craft, multiple craft up in the sky. And 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sitting in a hot tub, 100 yards from the beach, in a beach house, and my friend was sitting beside me. My friend was facing Vancouver, which is north, and I was facing east. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I saw this huge light come straight down, take a right angle at unbelievable speed. Right behind a little island, 300 yards from our house, right into the ocean. And I thought, wow, what is that? What is that? I've never seen lights that size act like that at right angles at that speed. So, I was phoning or contacting all kinds of organizations on the internet to try and see if anybody else had seen this. I mean, it was, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't, I was fully awake. So, that was pretty perplexing. So some of these experiences or memories, it's time to come out about them. And my daughter even told me that her and her husband were standing on their patio on Vancouver Island that they saw with some friends of theirs a UFO. So, I'm not the only one. There are these stories all over the world. Mary Rodwell is one of the people that interviews people who have had these UFO experiences in the organization that Dr. Edgar Mitchell founded. So, more and more people are coming forward with their experiences and memories. And, I don't know if we have the language or the framework or the understanding to describe it yet. But, because we're just stuck here on this little planet. But, the field of consciousness, when you merge it with these other disciplines, is helping to lay the foundation to start to explain these common occurrences among people around the world. In fact, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake is one of my favorite scientists right now. He explains this whole field of consciousness and interdimensional awareness, and as does William Tiller, even Russell Targ, Lynn Buchanan. These are some of the leaders in the field of consciousness research and accessing these other finer fields around us. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake talks about morphic fields, and that's kind of what I'm tapping into when I do readings for people. There's these morphic fields, these fields of energy that are in and around every one of us.
Can you remote view or get signs from these extraterrestrial downloads that people say they are getting?
Oh, wow! I had a download. Let me talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. I was sitting in my dining room, and all of a sudden, this portal opened up right to my left, about 3 feet away from me. And it was just like an interdimensional portal that opened up. It was like about, a foot round. And and a specific color, and there were specific numbers in it, and all of a sudden I got this download of information where I was literally shaking from the amount of information. I have never had that kind of experience before, and the information was very interesting. And then I had another experience right after that where I had lifted out of my body. I was in bed. I lifted out of my body, was in the corner of the room at the ceiling, looking down on my body. And then I went right through a closed plate glass window, and I was traveling on a light beam. It was a curved light beam into the future. It was like I was riding it. It was really cool. I was going super fast. And I saw somebody taking 3 fingers off somebody's right hand. And I was so shocked. I came back to my body on the same light beam. And I came through that plate glass window and landed on my chest as this 1-foot ball of plasma light, and I sat up to meet this ball of light, and I was shocked. I didn't know what it was, and I threw off my nightgown, and this ball of light dissipated into my chest. And so I phoned 2 people. They were professionals, and I told them about this. I thought it was a dream. I didn't really have the language to explain it. And 2 weeks later, I was on the beach with one of the people that I had phoned and told about this, who was introducing me to their brother, who was a surgeon who told us he had to amputate 3 fingers of a right hand of a patient. So the person looked at me and backed up from me, and I felt myself backing up from myself too. I thought, well, how could I see that, travel to it, 2 weeks into the future and see this? But, these are very interesting experiences. And when you have these experiences, you cannot deny them. It's not possible. So, we live in an electroplasmic universe. And somehow I've tapped into that, those experiences, those insights.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very interesting indeed.
Isn't it?
Trip is asking, what are we supposed to do with these downloads without encryption keys?
Oh, wow. Encryption keys. Okay. So some of this information that I've been shown, I know is for specific people on the planet. So if you get these downloads and you see people, places, or events that information is specifically for, that's who it's for. We're kind of meant to meet certain people, and we kind of, trigger them somehow. Maybe not trigger, but we help them open, or, we have specific information for them. And because it feels like when I came back, I had a mission, I had this future download. And these things started to happen in the order that I remembered them. So it could be part of your, the reason that you're here, part of your gift or gifts, and honor what you get. Try and find the right applications for it. That's how I would answer your question, Trip.
We've got quite a bit of time here left, so this is pretty good. In regards to UFOs, downloads, new technology, time travel, have you ever been taken on a ride that you just cannot explain through this type of mediumship?
Wow. Yeah, I have. And I don't know how to explain it. We're not taught this in school, right? These, wow. These, to me, they're interdimensional things. I think these craft come into our awareness or field of vision or frequency, perhaps, and they, I don't know if these are the watchers or what's going on. I kind of wonder if they're from our future because I do believe in time travel, absolutely. I've had time travel experiences in controlled remote viewing where you send your consciousness through time, and then on that light beam, into the future. So that's a big question, and it really deserves a big answer. And I think some of the people that can answer those questions are, Rupert Sheldrake, and that organization that, what is it called? It's called FREE, F-R-E-E, that Dr. Edgar Mitchell founded. And Mary Rodwell helps to do, significant research there. And there's lots of other people that can help describe, more definitively how I could. You're talking about Akashic records and interconnectedness of these fields, of these morphic fields, and it's a big field. You're talking about quantum physics and interdimensional experiences, and it's huge. It's a big field.
Do you believe then that through remote viewing we can detail what these alleged type of downloads and messages that we are getting from off-world species? Because as we move towards any type of disclosure, the advancement of technology, the way it's moving. I mean, we just saw it this week with the new Mars Insight landing on the planet, and now we're talking about moving people onto the moon within a few years, and then off to Mars by 2030. I mean, this is not a lot of time. This is only 12 years away.
Yeah, the technologies. If people out there are getting advanced information downloads about specific technologies, there are specific people that need that information. So, and to be able to use it, I think this information is given to individuals because it's going to help the evolution of mankind. That's my belief. But there's also a lot of politics and other things at play there. So, I would say tread carefully because, there are people that would want that information and not be prepared to deal fairly with it. Shall we put it that way? That's putting it nicely. I think a lot. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you finish up, please.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are privy to this kind of information, and they might not use it to serve mankind. That's my thought.
Aussie Rob, all the way in Australia, he'll let us know how tomorrow is looking for us. He's our official time traveler around here. He says, cool. Terry, do you ever use crystals in the help of going out of your body from the vibrations they give off?
I have practiced with that because somebody gave me a rather large crystal, and I haven't had any personal experiences with crystals, no.
We only got about 4.5 minutes left with you tonight, and this is a show that has flown on by, and I appreciate you coming on in with this. In regards to people putting themselves through this, what would you give for a message for people who've never tried remote viewing, want to get into it? Why should they be getting into it or not be getting into it?
Wow. Well, I can't speak for other people. I got into it because of my nephew, but 2 nephews, and because I thought that, if I can see the future, then I can interfere in the future. And yes, it's true, you can, once you learn these skills. So how other people would want to learn it and use it is a personal decision and reason. So it can be used in so many different applications. If all of a sudden you are awakened in these areas and you need training, then there's some top-notch people in the world who can help you. You don't have to be alone. And, once you find out what your path is, and I really feel that I have a very specific path and mission. And I know with who and the reasons why. So, I'm leading all up to that and helping a lot of people along the way. And, this is an individual path that's unique to each person. So, that's a question only, each person can answer, really. I don't want to speak for anybody else.
Well, I see you sounding awfully politically correct on that, but, I mean, it's like right now, and one of my pet peeves this week has been there are people in the UFO field using or coining that they are, investigative journalists. Well, I'm a journalist, trained journalist. I don't like the fact that people are just nicknaming themselves. I mean, there's too much of that in this field. So with you got to have a pet peeve or two about, what people should be doing for it. You mentioned earlier it should be for the right reasons, but there's obviously always the sinister side to everything. So what do you feel why people should get into this?
Well, I think that we're here to help people. We're here to help others. We're here to help, the evolution of humanity. That's right. Me. That's not everybody. Not everybody thinks that way. I'm a woman, first of all. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I believe in the evolution of the species. And I want the species to not only evolve, but to live. And, maybe propagate to other planets. But you can't do that if you're stuck in war patterns or this control and domination. To me, it's really prehistoric. And I do believe we can evolve beyond that. But I think that's because I'm a woman. I don't know if I'm gender biased or, or what. But I do believe in peace, and I believe in humanity, and I believe in evolution. And I think that human evolution the next stage of human evolution is called Homo noeticus. And that's where these abilities come in, and we start to impact other people. And the species starts to evolve, and it's at a conscious level. And these abilities,
I agree. We got about 30 seconds left with you tonight. Do me a favor. Tell people where they can find your website and how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, thank you. My website is www.terryandersen.com. That's TERRYANDERSEN. Everybody spells it O-N, but it's EN.com. And that's the best place to get in touch with me and read about my background and experience and education. And there's lots of testimonials there and different options for different kinds of readings.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Terry, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Very much appreciate you taking the time to do so, because remote viewing is one of those things that just totally intrigues me. Intrigues me. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Dave, for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure.
It really has. Thank you so much. Olaf Phillips coming up next with the SOR Newswire. You stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social media freedom can take care of that for you. Social media freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home on Spaced Out Radio tonight, and we get to the SOR Newswire with the man, the myth, the paranormal legend, Mr. Olaf Phillips. The news is always changing as we delve into the weird, the wacky, the WTF in the SOR Newswire. Brought to you by Spaced Out Radio's SOR Newswire. You can go onto our website, click on the news, and read all of Captain Shirk's stories. And presenting the news is from ParanoiaMagazine.com, Mr. Olaf Phillips. How you doing there, Master Team Stump?
Doing all right. How are you?
I am very good, very good. I'm excited about tomorrow night. It is the anniversary show, so hopefully you have time to join us for that as well. That would be wonderful.
I'll try.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. We don't usually do the news tomorrow night, so you can either join us on the show or take the night off. Really up to you.
A day off.
Really up to you. Yeah, you can have a day off. We'll give you that. Yeah, we'll give you that.
There you go.
Yeah. So what's happening in the news tonight, man?
Well, this in on the Florida wire. Florida woman pulled knife on man who complained about her farts. A Florida woman faces charges of aggravated assault after authorities say she passed gas in line at the dollar store and pulled a knife on a man who complained about it. Citing Broward Sheriff's Office report, the Miami Herald reports 37-year-old Shanita Yvette Wilson passed gas while waiting in line at the Dollar General store Sunday night and upset a nearby customer. The report says the offended customer and Wilson got into an argument in reference to the defendant farting loudly. It says Wilson then pulled a small folding knife out of her purse and told the victim she was going to gut him while moving as if to attack him. Wilson was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. It's
Hold
unclear.
Hold on, right there.
Lawyer.
Hold on right there. Charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Now, are we talking the knife or the flatulence?
Well, considering it was the flatulence and it's without intent to kill, I'm going flatulence.
Yeah, I would too.
The flatulence.
Yeah, I would too. I would
Only
too.
in Florida.
Always Florida, isn't it?
It's always Florida.
I know.
I got a weird one. Up your alley from Spain.
Well, hold on a second here.
Okay.
I mean, why not just admit that, whoever smelt it dealt it? I mean, that doesn't work anymore. Just admit that you broke the cheese or you cut the cheese or you broke wind
I know.
or whatever.
Why do you have to get into a knife fight about it? What is this?
Exactly.
Why are you getting into a knife fight? It's
if you're that sensitive,
hey, I ripped it. Go.
If you're that sensitive about the way someone is going to call you out for ripping one, seriously, don't go out in public. Don't fart in public.
Don't fart loudly. Fart quietly. Who doesn't enjoy farting in an elevator, watching everybody's reactions? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
He's got to do it quietly.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're looking around. Hey, everybody's looking at each other. Who did that one? I did it. I did it.
No kidding.
High quality
All right.
parts. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to story number 2.
Spanish man builds 60-foot spaceship to visit planet from his novels. A man in Spain definitely has the travel bug, but he's not looking to take a plane or RV. No, a self-constructed spaceship is the ride favored by Lucio Ballesteros, 87-year-old writer, musician, YouTuber from Montiero, Spain. The impressive craft visible in the video, there's video, measures 60 feet in diameter and weighs nearly 2,600 pounds. It's even captured the attention of documentary filmmaker Sol Mendez, who's making a film about Ballesteros and his work. Ballesteros estimates he spent more than 100,000 euros, it's like 120 grand, building the spaceship out of aluminum and methyl chrolate, according to the Spanish newspaper El País. He said the craft won't be operational until he installs some motors, and he doesn't imagine it will be used until sometime far in the future. He told Spanish newspaper El Ideal Gallego that humanity will have to evolve psychically and spiritually before people can figure out how the technology that powers the craft works. Someday Ballesteros hopes the ship will be used to travel to 10/7, a planet that comes from a series of novels written by, you guessed it, Ballesteros himself. The writer described the planet as inhabited by beings very similar to human beings, but with a higher stature. Explaining the planet's name, Ballesteros said the number 10 represents the unity of God, while 7 represents the 7 dimensions of the human being. So there you go. He built a UFO in his backyard without an engine. And someday he thinks he's going to build an engine, and he's going to travel to a planet called 10/7.
Okay. Okay. And what kind of medication is this gentleman on?
Antipsychotics. I don't know. I just found the news, man.
How? Why would you do this? You know what I'm saying?
Why don't you spend 120 grand doing it? Look, you want to get a little loopy and build a UFO in your backyard for like $5,000? I get it. But like $120,000 to build an aluminum spaceship in your backyard with no engines? Why would you do that? I mean, are you going to put it on Airbnb? I get that. Build like a UFO house in your backyard and go, yeah, I'll charge you $200 a night to stay in my UFO house. But to just do it and say, well, someday I'll build some engines when we're psychically ready for it. Okay.
Hey, it's all about the consciousness, man. It's all about the consciousness these days. Maybe it doesn't even need engines.
Because the consciousness, his raising consciousness level is going to pick up a 2,600-pound aluminum flying saucer and roll it into space.
You never know. You never know. Maybe he needs John Teeter's IBM computer, or maybe an old Commodore 64 from about 81 or 82.
I'm saying a Commodore 64.
Could very well be. Let's move on to the next one.
Police probing Frosty the Snowman slashing. Police in Tennessee are searching for a seasonal slasher caught on video slicing a hotel's inflatable Frosty the Snowman across the stomach. Security camera footage from the True by Hilton Hotel in Pigeon Forge shows the unidentified suspect walking up to the large Frosty just before 1:30 a.m. Friday and slicing a gash in the inflatable stomach, causing it to go limp. Hotel manager Earl Sailors said he has a theory about the crime. Ooh. I think it's just kids thinking they're being funny, Sailors told the Knoxville News Sentinel. It happened about 1:23 in the morning, and I think most adults would not have been out driving around slashing inflatables at that hour. But I could be wrong. Melissa Keith, another manager at the hotel, said workers were able to save Frosty by taping his wound shut. It looked like he aspirated and fell to the floor to the ground. We discovered in the morning, we tried to revive him. There was a bit of surgery, and as you can see, but he seems to be recovering well. Police said they are taking the incident seriously. It's vandalism. It's their property. Somebody has to pay for it, so we take that serious, Pigeon Forge Police Chief Richard Catlett said.
Well, my only question on that is, why do people feel the need to do that? Like, whether it's kids or adults, why do they feel the need to do that? What did Frosty do to deserve a slashing?
I know. He's a magical snowman. He doesn't deserve to be slashed. At least they didn't get his hat. They got his hat, and then, it would have been all over. He's not magic about the hat.
Vandalism happens, and I hate to put it that way, but when you're breaking into cars or you're it's different than ruining a company's Christmas decorations. And yes, I use the word Christmas because I don't use the word holiday decorations. Christmas. But nonetheless, you're ruining things for what? For what?
So you can.
Yeah,
no, I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. But having a manhunt over it is probably a little bit of overkill. But it's definitely wrong. They're kind of messing up for other people who like Frosty. Vandalism's wrong no matter how you cut it. I said cut it.
Well, we got time for one more.
Good, because I got one more. So that worked out well.
Perfect.
This is the pinnacle. This is my magnum opus for tonight. Payless opens fake luxury store, sells customers $20 shoes for $600 in an experiment. Payless's recent marketing campaign tricked fashion influencers into paying significantly more for a pair of affordable shoes. The retailer created a new store called Paylessy as an experiment to see how much fashion-forward people would pay to have high-end shoes. Influencers, professionals that inspire consumers to make purchases based on their experience were invited to attend the grand opening of Paylessy, a new high-end designer. Those who attended the exclusive party paid between $200 and $600 for Payless shoes that typically run up to $40. Payless, as Paylessy, sold $3,000 worth of shoes in hours within the opening. I would pay $400 or $500, said one influencer. People will be like, where did you get those? Other influencers remarked on the look of the shoes, the quality of the material, and were overall impressed by the Payless shoes. The discount shoe company wanted to push the social experiment genre to new extremes while simultaneously using it to make a cultural statement. Doug Cameron, DCX Growth Accelerator's chief creative officer, told Adweek their goal was to remind customers the retailer is a place to shop for affordable fashion that also looks great. The campaign plays off the enormous discrepancy and aims to remind customers we are still a relevant place to shop for affordable fashion. Payless CMO Sarah Couch also told Adweek. David Reibstein, a professor of marketing at the Wharton School of Business, says companies have mastered the art of getting consumers to open their wallets. People look at their surrounding. It's part of what it is that they're buying, and it's part of how we get cues about the quality of the product, Ripstein explains. We see wine that's made in France. We see it's superior wine. He suggests that consumers always do a little market research of their own before shopping, as oftentimes generic brands can be very similar, if not better, than their name brand counterparts. So there you go.
Well,
they did refund the money.
Either way, it just goes to show fashion people are more about the brand name than they are about everything else. And on that note, we're going to get to the thought of the Dave.
Let's do it.
Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Twitter and Facebook pages, and then we read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation on this show. So today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. If you could remote view, what would be the first thing you look for? Got some interesting answers on this one, Olaf.
Let's do it.
Serena, I'd look for the ruins on Mars and the moon. Trixie, pranks. I would totally use it to set up jokes and gotchas. Heidi, next week, Euro Millions numbers. I'm serious. Then I would have all the time in the world to hone my skill and look for the real interesting stuff like aliens and Bigfoot. Gail,
I'm into that.
I can remote view. I only look at historical things or people, never look at people I know. That's just wrong. Never look at the future. That influences things. It's purely recreational. Wyatt would go after the moon bases. Christine, lotto numbers. Cardwell says he'd be looking in on me. That's kind of eerie and creepy. Don't need no Maple Leaf fans doing that. Kelly, or Kelly's beard, we're never sure, says I would look to see if Captain Shirk really does yell at kids to get off her lawn like Dave Scott says. It's true, she does. She totally does. I think she throws ham sandwiches with one bite out of them at the children, too.
That's
Vesna. Well, hey, it's Captain Shirk. Vesna says, I would check if the number of sheeple were diminishing. Chris is looking for interdimensional life. John, every planet in our solar system, Antarctica, where Dulcie Bases supposedly is, Wright-Patterson, Area 51, Dugway, Kaputsin Yar, Pine Gap, Mariana Trench, Bermuda Triangle, Dragon Triangle, Giza Pyramids, the Sphinx, and various Mayan periods. I got through that.
Kaputsin Yar would be interesting. A lot of numbers first, though.
Definitely. David, a main communications control center somewhere in Silicon Valley, porting internet feeds to the alien lunar colony. Wow. Andrew.
Their connection's better than mine.
Me too. Wonder how they react to the 5G. Andrew is asking, E.T. ruins anywhere in our solar system, but E.T. still meaning it could be from ancient human ancestors or the progenitors who were originally seated on our local neighborhood space. Ad gnome? I'd look for Dave's missing gnomes. Of course you would. Sean, life on Europa. Michael, Penman, RV, a black triangle craft in flight to look at the technology and see if aliens or humans are flying it. Uncle Dale in his power stash says, I would view exoplanets in the Goldilocks zone, starting with the closest, looking for life or technology. Uncle Bob, hi Bob, love you bro, says where Jimmy Hoffa is buried.
Good call.
John, Library of Ancient Records stored under the Vatican. That would be interesting. Very interesting. Aussie Rob, how's tomorrow looking? He says, what is really discussed in the Oval Office?
Kind of don't want to know that.
Lisa would check out her old farm. Kevin, well, Dave, it would have to be Tom Cruise's closet. We all know where it is. We know he has been in there for... Oh, I'm not even going there. Not even going there. This is why sometimes I get into trouble for not pre-reading.
Not pre-reading, yeah.
Emmett wants to find his chapstick. Jamie is looking to wonder what Jamie Lynn is doing or Jamie Ann is doing in the shower. Susan, I would go to New Brunswick and see my uncle's farm and house. I want to see if it is as great as I recall. The crypto guru, Ronald Murphy, single dad of 5 kids. He just wants to see boobs. Just wants to see boobs. Daryl.
Simple.
You don't need a remote view for that, Ronald. You don't need a remote view for that. Daryl, our base is on the moon and Mars in that order. Marliz wants to check out Orion. Robert, nothing. I'm good. Darren is about Hoffa as well. Jason, I would look for all the stuff country singers and songwriters lost in country music. Then maybe clear the fog from the Thailand trip. The stories are great, but don't remember much. Hey, that's what Vegas and Thailand are all about.
Okay.
Francesca's all about Bigfoot. Charles also says he would dig through the Vatican archives. Jamie on Twitter, proof of alien beings and spacecraft at Area 51. The Desert Clam, he gets the last word. He wants the Powerball numbers and where all of his socks from the dryer actually went.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, Olaf. Tell everybody where they can find Paranoia Magazine.
ParanoiaMagazine.com, Paranoia Magazine on Facebook, Paranoia Mag on Twitter, Paranoia Mags on Instagram. Listen to the podcast. It's really funny.
We also want to say thank you to Captain Shirk for putting together a really good news section in the SOR Newswire found at spacedoutradio.com and on Facebook, the SOR Newswire. Thank you to Terry Anderson for coming on, talking remote viewing. Tomorrow night on the show, bringing in some friends. It's the SOR Roundtable and the 4th anniversary of Spaced Out Radio. We're opening up the phone lines tomorrow night, so make sure you call on in. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. And, of course, thank you to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Everybody on the chat room, Spreaker, Twitter, and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, the SOR Space Travelers, and Rev Radio. Thanks so much for being with us. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night, because together, my friends, we own the night. See you tomorrow for your anniversary. Good night.